Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hey, book fans. So, my friend lent me the Book of Longing by Leonard Cohen to read because he said that I was really going to love Leonard Cohen because Leonard Cohen is had experience with Buddhism. He was known as a ladies' man. He was a singer-songwriter, novelist. Obviously, loved music, loved books. Very interesting guy. Just had a little browse on Wikipedia. About his life. Very interesting man. Lived a very interesting life, it seems, and obviously created a lot of things. Only decided to become a songwriter at the age of 33, which is pretty late to begin a musical career, especially nowadays, seeing as, you know, we've got all of these young pop stars, like Bieber, who started his career when? The age of 16. So usually musicians are quite young in the modern age. So kind of bizarre and a little unusual to start a musical career at the age of 33. He was a poet before that and a novelist in the early 1950s and the 1960s. But very, very interesting life if you're, I suppose searching for some role model who's been through this weird and wonderful journey that is life and done interesting things with it. So I suppose have a look at the Wikipedia page on his life and then dip into his work. He's got lots of work, obviously, and this is just I feel like I've dipped my toe into a very large lake with Leonard Cohen. I feel like there's so much more to him than just this book. Let's talk about this book as a toe-dipping experience into the world that is Leonard Cohen. I thought it was, well, a lot of the poems in here I didn't like. They're quite forgettable, I guess. But there are some like gems, and I have to say that I've really enjoyed reading this, and I actually was inspired to write some of my own poems in the style of Leonard Cohen. They just seem to come to me while I've been reading this book. So I've been reading this book, I think, on and off for about 2 months now, just kind of dipping into it here and there. Obviously, because it's a book of poems, that's something that you can do. Each poem is a separate entity. It's not like reading a novel where I would commit myself to that one novel and try and read it in maybe 1 or 2 weeks. This has just been a kind of fun little book to pick up, if I've got 5 minutes or so just to have a look at a poem. Some have not really struck a chord with me and some have. Let's talk about the style. I love the style of his poetry. A lot of poets, they're too wordy for me. When I studied literature at school, we looked at names that I can't even remember now, and poetry was incredibly boring and dull. And maybe you're even watching this channel and you're like, dude, what's this dude talking about poetry for? Poetry is boring. Read Leonard Cohen, because this guy has got a lot of things to say. He speaks about life, he speaks about women, about sex, about affairs, romantic relationships, about God, Buddhism, what it means to be alive, what it means to be a human. And he's got a lot of thoughts on that. And it's not some overly eloquent, flowery, literary, masturbation over the language. It's this direct and powerful communication of trying to share his experience of this weird and sometimes horrible and sometimes fantastic life. And it's just his I would very much describe it as like improvised photography, because it does feel like his poetry is improvised. I mean, some of it doesn't even rhyme. It's just as if he has sat at the computer and just you know, line by line written out. You know, I almost couldn't even call it a poem because it doesn't rhyme. It's just like a word fart. Is probably the best way to describe it. It's as if he's just blah, spitting out words, coughing up words onto the page in a beautiful way as he goes through life, very much like how an improvised photographer would just snap a random photo of something that was happening, not really putting too much energy into it, but the result is this beautiful image. With Leonard Cohen's poetry, the result is often a beautiful shaping of words on the page which contain some interesting ideas or a new perspective, or often truths which are true but you've never heard expressed. There's one poem in here that is only 4 lines long. Old people are kind, young people are not. Love is blind. No, start again. Old people are kind, young people are hot. Love is blind, desire is not. And love it, because it's a truth that I've known, but I've never heard it expressed in that way. So even though to me it's nothing new, what is new is the way that it's expressed, and it's expressed with just such simplicity, with rhyme, tied up in this neat package with a bow, the bow being the rhymes. Just an idea contained as like a little gift package. Just there it is. There's the idea. And it's not a nice idea, because I can't say that it's a great idea, is it? It's that whole thing, desire is not kind. Old people are kind, young people are hot. Love is blind. We can fall in love. Love is a blind thing. We can love. Love. We can love. But we will always have desire. And desire is not a kind thing. Desire is like, God damn it, I'm feeling physical attraction for that young girl over there. And I can't help it. It's not a fair thing. You know, had David D'Angelo, who was a pickup artist, said attraction is not a choice. Same thing, but, you know, Leonard Cohen expresses it marvellously, perfectly, sweetly, you know, with just using such simple language, but putting that idea into just beautiful parcel of words. It's fantastic. And he does that throughout the book. This is what an artist can do, is take words and just craft them fantastically to express an idea in a beautiful way. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed getting into Leonard Cohen and watching him paint pictures with words. That's what this journey and this book, this trip, have been for me. And there's a lot of other beautiful word paintings within this book, and there's also sketches too, as you can see. A sketch here, and he draws himself, and it's just very interesting to just see those sketches and see Leonard Cohen's individual creativity all put into a book which took 10 years to write. And the poems that I have written, you know, as I've been reading this book, have been that way, improvised poetry of just thoughts coming to my mind and me trying to use the words poetically. And I think some of the things that I have written I'm very, very proud of. and it has inspired me to write my own book of poetry, and I really do want to get more into poetry. And I don't think poetry is this boring, traditional, literary, sitting in an English classroom studying the old poetry from the 1920s or years and years ago. What does it mean? I think poetry can be raw, and it can be gripping, and I think it can be really exciting, and I think Leonard Cohen is a wonderful door into that world of bold, natural poetry with a punch. And that is a journey that I really do want to explore, and I hope that I discover more artists that are in that field of work. And so if you want to have the same experience as I did, then yeah, I think this is a book for you, especially if you're a beginner poet. I think that Leonard Cohen really will open a door for you. So, thanks. And if you've any comments, obviously leave them below. If you've any recommendations for poets that are kind of in a similar vein to Leonard Cohen, please leave them below, because that is something that I do want to explore. Drop me a line, anything you're interested in, or anything you want to tell me, or anything you want to recommend, or any questions that you want to ask me. Obviously leave them in the comments below. So I will get back to you, and I will appreciate meeting you online and beginning a conversation. So take care for now. Happy New Year, by the way. May all great things come to you this year. Goodbye.